Guys, welcome back to my channel Elite Wrestling World. I am your host GhostSaad. Thank you guys for joining me right here for AEW Dynamite post show review. So Dynamite is live from Glasgow, Scotland. Loaded card announced for tonight. Two semi-final matches: Claudio versus Jon Moxley, and also Nigel McGuinness versus Kyle O'Reilly as well. Also, we will see Strickland versus Jack Perry one-on-one. Women's trios action. Divine Dominion and Persephone versus Brawling Birds and Maya World. And we will see Andrade and MJF live in the arena talking about the casino Gauntlet. So plenty to look forward. Let's dive into it and talk about that. We started off with Will Ospreay addressing Kenny Omega one final time. Huge ovation for Ospreay. He said it's been a year since he last saw them. Lot has gone on since, as after his neck injury, he questioned if he can win the big one again. Ospreay said you have to understand what it's like to be a British wrestler, as he started his career making towns in this area. Ospreay loved being in the foxhole with men and women following the same dream. He loved learning from the legends Doug Williams. To be the best, when you mention the best in the world, it's hard to look past the world champion of AEW, Kenny Omega. Ospreay said Omega isn't here tonight but knows he's watching from home, so realize there is no one who looks up to him more than Ospreay, as no one has been better in this ring than Omega. All that respect went out of the window the moment Omega mentioned Ospreay's son. Omega is getting the Billy God. Wembley will be left with memories for a lifetime. Omega will help Ospreay show his boy that heroes are just ordinary people who can do extraordinary things. And this was a fantastic promo before Wembley main event. Ospreay delivered one of the best promos of his career and build up the hype for the main event at All In. I'm pretty much looking forward to that match on Sunday at Wembley Stadium. So first action of the night, Jon Moxley versus Claudio in the Continental Cup semi-final match. These two beat the living crap out of each other and you would expect nothing less from them. The crowd really got into the final stretch and they were biting that Claudio might pull off the upset here, like he did in the Continental Classic last year as well. So fantastic semi-final match for the Continental Cup. Both made their entrances separately and they started throwing punches at each other to start off the match, back and forth. So for the finish, we saw charging uppercut, launched Moxley to the outside and he just broke the 10 count, only rolling right into Claudio. Curb stop. Claudio wanted a collar bomb. Moxley slid out into a paradigm shift, which Claudio kicked out at 1 and the crowd went nuts for that. Curb stop followed by Death Rider connects. Claudio kicked out at 2. Bulldog choke applied. Claudio powers up momentarily, only to collapse as Moxley changed his grip, similar to Jack Perry and Jay White, and Claudio passed out and Moxley moved to the final. So this was a fantastic match for the Continental Cup semi-final 1. Moxley goes into the final by beating Claudio. Next up is Copeland and Bucks versus the Callis family. This was the party match of the night, with Callis family getting beat up yet again. And I think so the main purpose of this match was to build some tension between Bucks and Cope and Cage, and it happened after the match is finished. Copeland started with Doyle, who didn't budge from early shoulder block attempts. We saw Brian Cage wiped out Matt and Copeland on the apron. Nick managed an avalanche. Hurricane Rana was going to tag his brother, but Copeland stalled that tag and ran wild with that. Backbreaker from Doyle, F5 from Cage, sliced bread by Rocky Romero, but Copeland kicked out. Bucks again made the save. We saw super kick party from Bucks, took out Cage and Doyle with stereo slingshots as Copeland planted Romero with a spear for the pinfall victory. So very good trios match for Dynamite. Post-match, we saw Bucks gave a golf clap to Copeland until Christian's music hit and he told Bucks to sit down and shut up as he conducts his business. Cage told Bucks on Sunday, you will learn the difference between influence and legendary. Matt said they have named matches and pay-per-views after Copeland and Cage, but have they ever named a company? legend. Last week they accidentally superkicked Cage, but if he keeps talking, it won't be an accident next time. Cage punted Matt low. Nick superkicked Cage. Copeland speared Nick and was visibly pissed off on that. And Christian Cage slowly got up and held the world tag titles high as Copeland just stared down the Bucks ringside. So I think so this post-match segment builds up the intrigue for the world tag title match at All In. It's gonna be a banger match between Cope and Cage and the Bucks, and we will see a tag team classic at All In. Willow Nightingale music hits and she never came out, so we dashed backstage to see Mercedes standing over on beaten Willow. Monet said she took away Nightingale from talking to her fans and stomped on her hand that was trapped in a chair, telling Willow she is taking the title from her on Sunday at All In. So it's gonna be a fantastic women's title match between Mercedes and Willow at All In. Renee's backstage with Mark Davis and a refreshed Don Callis, who said he's back from Croatia. Callis said Davis is going to roll through the Casino Gauntlet, stop Andrade from winning it, and will bring the world title home to the Callis family with a little bit of a London luck. So Mark Davis is also entering the Casino Gauntlet. It's going to be a stacked gauntlet this year. Pretty much looking forward to that as well. We saw Andrade's music hit, but he also didn't come out. Instead, MJF music hits and he made his entrance with the Triple B. MJF said it's great to be in Sunny Island, saying it makes no difference if it's Scotland. They are all drunk pieces of trash. MJF informed us Andrew El Idolo isn't here. What Andrew does isn't revolutionary. Wearing a shirt and fake jewelry like a jabroni, taking a photo with a hot woman here is next to impossible, but said he would take a photo with a Scotland woman. And has one question. Andrade appeared behind MJF, who was ready to take the selfie, as Andrade said, "How you know?" and just turned around slowly MJF and got his ass prompted kicked. MJF bailed quickly and held the Triple B high as Andrade stood tall in the ring with the national title. So building up the hype for the Casino Gauntlet, these two are gonna start the Casino Gauntlet at number 1 and number 2, and it's gonna be a fantastic first few minutes for the Gauntlet as well. Jericho is in the back and said this week is some serious high stakes, realizing how important All In is. He is officially entering the Gauntlet but wants to make it interesting, so he spoke to Tony Khan. 6-man tag on Collision, Commander Speedball, and Jericho versus Nick Wayne, Mark Davis, and Tommaso Ciampa. So Jericho is also in the Gauntlet. It's gonna be a fantastic Gauntlet this year as well. Next up is the second semi-final, Nigel McGuinness versus Kyle O'Reilly. If you love grappling, I have got a match for you, as these two had counters for counters. Regardless, I thought this was a really good one, with them really driving home the Cinderella story of Nigel McGuinness wrestling for the title at Wembley. And it's gonna be a fantastic match for the finals of Continental Cup at Wembley. And pretty much looking forward to that as well. So for this match, we saw McGuinness had a bell lock, O'Reilly countered into an ankle lock. It looked like McGuinness was tapping, but it was just him trying to reach the bottom rope, which he had. Both men slugging it out in the center of the ring until McGuinness falls back in the ropes and takes O'Reilly head off with a Nigel lariat for a very close near fall. London Dungeon applied and O'Reilly tapped out, and Nigel goes to the final. Post-match, we saw O'Reilly and McGuinness shook hands and showed respect to each other, and now it's official. It's gonna be Moxley versus McGuinness for the Continental Cup final, and it's gonna be a fantastic match at Wembley Stadium. Renee's backstage with Kyle Fletcher and Callis, who said there's always competition between alpha athletes, but in the end you run the play as called. Fletcher said he trusts Callis with his heart. He owes so much to him, so he's willing to run the play. But the question is, will Okada do the same? So Okada walks in and said the most important thing is family. Fletcher can trust him. Fletcher said he got jumped by Takeshita last week and Okada was nowhere to be found. Okada said Fletcher only thinks about himself. Family, Kyle, family. At all in, if Takeshita wins the title, the tension between Fletcher and Okada is gonna be massive, and pretty much looking forward to that story as well in the coming weeks after All In. Next up is the women's trios match, Persephone and Divine Dominion versus Maya World and Brawling Birds. Fun little party match to set the stage for the women's title match between Birds and Divine Dominion heading into Sunday. So the match started with Megan Bayne versus the Speed of Maya World to kick things off as Bayne won the exchange. Birds cleared the rings of Divine Dominion and alongside with Maya World hit locomotion corner strikes on Persephone. The Birds and Dominion fight up the ramp and distract the referee, allowing Persephone to clock World with the CMLL title and hit a huge frog splash to get the pinfall victory on the TBS champion Maya World. So that was a shocking finish. Persephone getting the pinfall victory on Maya World, and she might get a title shot for the TBS title, maybe at the 0 hour of All In. Let's see if that match gets announced for the 0 hour or not. And in the main event, Swerve Strickland versus Jack Perry 1-on-1. First match back for Strickland's is Forbidden Door, and he had a damn fine main event here with Perry, who continues holding his own with the main event tier talent. And this was a fantastic match to close out the go home show for All In. Early shoulder block from Strickland, who tried to tell Perry he couldn't hang with him. So Perry went to the eyes and hit a shoulder block of his own, flexing in the process. Strickland hit his diving uppercut to the back out of the corner, hit the greedy and locked Perry into almost a gory special, but Perry got to the ropes. Both men to the outside where Perry hit a baseball slide Cazadora, which Strickland nearly countered into a big pressure. Only Perry hit a sliced bread from the apron. Strickland kicked out the leg, rolled through, looked for the brain buster. Perry countered into a snare. Hurricane Rana pin for a very close 2 count. Tried a bounce back Poison Rana, countered into a Cazadora, but Strickland pulled Perry up by the hair into big pressure to get the thriller pinfall victory. And this was a fantastic main event. Post match, we saw Strickland offered a fist pump to Perry, second heel to do so in the past few weeks, as Moxley did the same in the Continental Cup round match to Jack Perry as well. So pretty much lacking this direction of Jack Perry wrestling the top tier former world champions to get to that next level to challenge for the world title. And it will be interesting to see if he enters the casino gauntlet at All In. So let's see what happens at the pay-per-view. So this was a very good episode of Dynamite. Pretty much build the hype for the All In card as well, and I'm pretty much looking forward to the pay-per-view on Sunday as well. So that's the end of the show, folks. Please guys, like and share this video, subscribe to my channel, and keep watching Elite Wrestling World.